This is, this is the box to the Space Shuttle Complex, the Defiant, that I put here because I didn't want it. I mean, it's nice to have the outer box for the Defiant, but as far as display, it doesn't. I don't like it as a display item. This looks like mostly action. No, so here's the Intruder Action Man, which is again, this is the first bad guy ever introduced for G.I. Joe. Some people might think that the German soldier was the first bad guy, but he wasn't. He was just a German soldier. He wasn't considered a bad guy per se. This is sort of like what the Ram might have been based on. It's one of the first motorcycles for G.I. Joe. Some of them will be empty boxes because I've opened them up and put them on display. Some of them are full. This looks like a, wow. Yeah, these are from different countries, all right. That's from Japan. Those are both from Japan. This is from Toll Toys. This means it's from Australia. That's from Mexico. This is also from this box. No, this is from Italy. This box is from Mexico. That's from Mexico. That's from France. And notice they gave names to some of their figures. Like this is Hard Rock. This is from Germany. We saw the Atomic Man earlier, and this is the U.S. version. This is how Atomic Man was sold in England for Palatoy. Oh, and here's Tom Stone. This is the black figure in camo with a beret, which to me looks a lot like Stalker. He's actually sold in 2 different boxes. You can get him in either box type. Let's see what I got here. Okay, here is, that's a Spelunker, a cave dweller set, or not cave dweller, but cave adventure set. And then here's a UN team set from Germany. There's another version of the helicopter, turbo. They call it the turbo lifter in this case. Okay, what I just went through a few minutes ago were the boxes of items that were vintage, mostly from the 1960s and 70s, a few from the very, very early 80s, but most from the 60s and 70s. And here, in this area here, I am keeping the 12-inch that started with the Hall of Fame on. I I got them from around the world, most of them, however, from the U.S. So we'll take them, like this one here, for instance, I just noticed, that's Stalker as he was distributed in the UK under the Action Man name. This is Snake Eyes, and in Canada he had both the name Snake Eyes and Zorro, which I always thought was fascinating that for some reason Canada decided to call Snake Eyes Zorro. What I did was, these are all of these bins are, there's a complete and 100% complete collection of all 12-inch figures released by Hasbro that were either completely or loosely based on the Real American Hero line. I do have some others as well, some of the more traditional types, but what I was really interested in were the kind that those figures that were released for kids to play with using the storyline of G.I. Joe that we all know and love. Also, I love outer space, so when I find outer space thing like this Apollo guy, I think is awesome. It's just gorgeous. Of course, monsters too. I love monsters. This is a giant, most of you have probably seen this. This is kind of neat. It's a giant comic book. Super size. Okay, these are Action Man figures. See, this is the Ace as it was released to Action Man. They actually had some really, really nice figures. Yes, here we have, rock and roll, the regular shirt, the green shirt. Here we have Grunt. Oh, that's right. No, this is Duke. This one's the camo Duke, camo Roadblock. Here's Destro. These are all uniform sets. Play set, accessory sets, and of course also bunches of figures. There's let's go. They're also including Street Fighter. Oh, it's including, this is the mail away Coltons, and so here's one of the mail away Coltons as it came. They came in lots of different hair colors. Oh, this is vehicles that go with the 12-inch. This is more, let me me see if I can open that. More stuff that's more boxed items. These are what, from 2002, 2003. These are from 2003. And again, with these I decided to army build. So the Crimson Guards, I want to do some really neat dioramas with them. You got here, and then you have the bats. Come on, bats. So if you put a few bats together, in fact, you know what? I meant to get more bats. I should have. I really kind of like the way they look. And scorpion figures, spirit. Oh, here's another bat. Just gung ho, a bunch of them. Okay, so let me put these guys here back, and I'm not gonna do anymore. You can just sort of see there are more bins of them, and some of them stuff is packaged, some of it's loose. And here we have the more recent 12-inch figures done by Sideshow, licensed by Hasbro. They're much more defined and more realistic in terms of articulation and a lot of their accessories than any of the modern G.I. Joes that Hasbro put out for the Real American Hero line. A lot of them are actually pretty exciting. I think the Snake Eyes is awesome. The Storm Shadow, I sort of feel a little half and half on him, but Cobra Commanders I think are great, both the Crimson and the initial blue one. But anyway, here they are, and as you notice, some of them, there are two of them. There's like 2 Dukes, 2 Cobra Commanders, 2 Storm Shadows, because with some of the figures they did a regular version and a version with some exclusive item. One of the things I've done in trying to gather the information that I need to make this set of books that I'm working on as accurate as possible is I've gathered as much paperwork information, including books written by other people, information from catalogs, magazines, news articles, and also general history. What's on this shelf up here is all by the work that I've gathered, trying to really get down the nitty-gritty of how the term G.I. Joe came to be, the full history of both G.I. Joe and G.I. and Joe. This all here represents actually only a few pages in my book, but it took a long time to gather the information. And then all of these are or for the most part, they're all books on either G.I. Joe or G.I. Joe's incarnation internationally, Action Man or Guyper Man, Action Joe, etc. Some of them are really great volumes. I've learned so much from reading them. I really owe a lot to people who have really been committed to this hobby. These are G.I. Joe ads from what was actually available, when it was available, the kinds of pricing, how they marketed. And so since 1982, I've been gathering this information, and I've got tons of it actually, and it's really a lot of fun to go through as well. As many of you know, if you get Action Figure News and Toy Review, Lee's Action Figure magazine, they started doing these files. They publish the vehicle, the driver, the information on it. So I've been keeping these also religiously, and it's just also a wealth of information. It's just so wonderful that so many people have done this. These are Tomart's guides. Also, I put these by year, but these reference guides, you can get these on eBay. You can either get them in the magazine or get them in eBay, and they cover different, whether it's vehicles or, this is, what is it? Okay, yeah, these are carded figures and loose figures together. Again, there's just so much information out there. A friend of mine from Spain made this for me. It was just a really wonderful guy. And what he did was, his name is Manu, and he just put together all of the file cards from Spain, so that I had them and I had the information. That would also really helped. That's another nice thing in doing this book. I have made so many wonderful friends all over the world. So many people have just been so unbelievably helpful and open and sharing. These are done through Blood for the Baron and Jamar Miller, and Jim and many of the other guys there have been working on these books where they've colorized the Action Force comics. There are also several books that were released overseas. For instance, this is a book from from Japan. And it's just a children's book, but it's of course I can't read it. I don't know Japanese, but it's fun to look at the pictures and to see what was available over there. They're cardboard pages. They're actually kind of interesting. And then here is one from, I believe, from Israel, also a children's book. To try to really get a handle on how G.I. Joe was distributed and what was distributed and when. I went about finding the retailer catalogs. These are from the 70s. Let me just go ahead and show you some of them, the insides of them. You can see why they're such an invaluable resource. They not only are they great pictures and really show what the Hasbro was selling to the retailers. These are the actual catalogs that the store owners or buyers got to decide what to order for their stores. But so not only do you get the good information, but you also get a lot of the pictures were done as early mock-ups, sort of pre-release versions. For instance, this is a 1984 catalog, and you see that the retailer catalog shows the Vamp 2 in a much lighter color than the actual Vamp 2 was released, and this is actually much closer to the color that it was released later on as a mail-away. Here's an 86 Hasbro catalog. Sometimes these are a little pricey because gem collectors also go after them on eBay. Here you have, a small picture of the aircraft carrier, which generally means that the aircraft carrier was released a year before, so it'll be a larger picture in that year, or the year before that, whichever. And then here's the Terradrome, the Raven, nice picture of the Tomahawk, the Havoc, the Triple T, the Conquest, Stun, Snowcat, Striker. Just really nice pictures and inspirational as well.